Do you have anybody in the waiting room?
And we're recording. It's on you.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. Roll call, please. Board Alderman Rob Foster,
Here.
East Ward Alderman Mark Bowers,
Here.
Natalie Nish. Here. West Ward Alderman Vicky Montgomery. Here. West Ward Alderman Stacy Lee. Here. Okay, if you would all please stand for a moment of silent prayer or reflection, followed by the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. All right. First item in the agenda is our minutes from March 25th, 2001. Does anyone have any comments or corrections for these minutes? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve. Move to approve. Motion, is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then we have financials and expenditures in our packet. The largest items within here were included in Monica's memorandum. These are the transfer of funds from one bank to the new bank. Outside of that, are there any other questions? Hearing none, I'll take a motion for approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right, that'll take us into unfinished business. First on the agenda is the report on fines, citations, and types of dogs. And who's going to present on that tonight? Karen? We got a report from Jessica. She had to have whoever that is with the court, Oscar, run this report for her. And so Linda and I went over this report, tried our best to get the type of dog on the case. Not necessarily did we have a breed of dog, but on here it does have the breed of the dog and the fine. So, but a majority of these, well, they were all running at large. And there are some still pending cases that are out there. And as you can see, there were 2 dismissed, and we still have, looks like 6 that are pending. So. These are animal at large. Do you know if we have a separate report? And I understand that you didn't run this, but did she say anything about having a separate report regarding bites? She did not tell me that.
I doubt there is one because
Okay.
I know I see municipal court and they're always, the tickets always come up as just animal at large. So
Okay.
And so I would guess that is usually on the 3450 is court cost. So if I look and it's the kind of their first time of having their dog get out, I usually just give them what's called an SIS, and just charge them court costs. And then if they get a second animal at large, then it comes back and then that SIS comes back to them. They have 2 tickets and the fine gets bigger.
Okay.
And seeing this is what I was trying to get at. Just designating that a pit bull type dog is considered the most dangerous, I think, is misleading. I still don't think that we should single out that it's just that it's the dangerous dog is a pit bull mix. We have laws in place for any animal that does run at large, any animal that bites. Why are we singling out a pit bull?
Because statistically, they're more dangerous.
But
I mean-
technically, there is honestly, there are so many breeds of dog that can be labeled a pit bull that it's just silly to do. I mean, if we're doing all canines, we're still doing our part. I
So
just
the
don't.
higher courts have addressed that. I'm sorry, Vicki, go ahead.
I just don't understand the reasoning for singling out a pit bull as being the dangerous breed when we have the rules in place for any canine.
So I did a little bit of research on this, looking for some updated research that has been done. And the most up-to-date research that I found was by the American Animal Hospital Association. They released an article in June of 2019. And I'll try to keep this as short as possible, but I'd like to just read the results of what they determined. So they said that nearly 5 million people in the US are bitten by dogs each year. The most common victims are children, most of whom are bitten by family pets. Which breed bites the most is hard to say, but according to a new study, it is unknown that tops the list. Numbers 2 through 6 are, in order, Pit Bull, Mixed Breed, German Shepherd, Terrier, and Rottweiler. The bottom 5 for bite risk were Dalmatian, Pointer, Great Dane, Pekingese, and Spitz. To assess bite severity, researchers at Ohio State University's Wexner Medical Hospital reviewed 15 years of dog-related facial trauma cases from 240 patients who were treated at Nationwide Children's Hospital in Columbus and the University of Virginia Health System. They focused on wound size, tissue tearing, bone fractures, and other injuries severe enough to call in facial trauma and reconstructive surgery. Researchers also combined the literature from 1970 to present, searching for papers that reported data on breeds to determine the relative risk of biting from a particular breed. 40 reported bites was the minimum requirement for including a breed in the study. 43 studies in the literature met that criteria. The researchers combined these results with hospital data to determine the relative risk of biting and the average tissue damage from those bites. They also created a damage severity scale. This next section is a couple of quotes, but the factors that they found that specifically increased bite risk was the shape of the head and the weight of the dog. The article goes on to say the findings showed that dogs with short, wide heads who weighed between 66 and 100 pounds were the most likely to bite. Pit bulls were responsible for the highest percentage of reported bites across all the studies at 22.5%. This was followed by mixed breeds at 21.2% and German Shepherds at 18.8%. Mixed breed dogs and pit bulls were found to have the highest relative risk of biting, as well as the highest average damage per bite. Breeds such as Great Dane and Akita were found to have a lower relative risk of biting. However, the average damage from bites was high. Overall, the article goes on to say most of these cases, especially involving children, were because they had pulled a dog's fur, the tail, yanking a paw, and it goes on from there. But that was the most recent data I was able to find on factors related to severe dog bite injuries.
Now that dealt with injuries, but not deaths.
Correct. That was focused on injuries.
And the death factor, percentage-wise, pit bulls are at quite a bit higher risk than most other dog breeds.
So the point I'm trying to make is we're we're punishing the animal when we should be punishing the owner. So when we have a dog that's running at large, I don't care if it's a Shih Tzu, if it's running at large, we need to let the owner know that that's against the law and it needs to be taken care of. You know,
I agree, but
but to single out one breed, I don't think we should be doing that. I think it should be across the board. It shouldn't matter what type of canine it is. It's all the same. The owner should be the one responsible for any dog. Doesn't matter if it's a pit bull or not.
Well, currently, we do not have a sufficient budget for a well-developed animal control team. We are utilizing great training and good tools, but we have those duties spread across many of our departments and many of our staff. People are pulled off of various street, water, sewer jobs to handle at-large calls, and then after hours from 4 till 7, our police department handles those calls. So as far as punishing the owners, we do have issues with establishing compliance with that because we don't have a budget that allows for a dedicated animal control officer.
maybe this is something that police officers.
Mark, I think you're.
Oh, can you
lost
hear
sound
me?
on Mark.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Lost
I hear
Rob.
you.
You can't hear me in the,
Just a minute. We're going to reset the sound switch.
So
Gonna do
Mark,
one of
I
those
can hear you.
over.
Dwayne, I can see you. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay.
Worked fine on 3 other ones today.
I can vouch for that. I was one of them. Gentlemen, can you try again?
can you hear us now?
Yes.
All right. I was saying perhaps this is something that representative from the police department and city staff that have to deal with this could weigh in on in future meetings. Since they're the ones dealing with it.
Okay, I have that note. Any other discussion on this topic? Okay. All right. Our next item is a COVID update. And do we have Michael Taylor?
Good work.
Michael,
All right, am I there?
you are here. Thank you.
All right, good evening. So we got a little bit of a report. Things are still looking better than they have in the past. First thing I'll report is the task force has changed its meeting schedule. We'll meet now on the second Tuesday of each month. So we're going to a monthly schedule versus weekly or bi-weekly as we've been doing. So the next one will be on May the 11th at noon. They are, of course, recorded and they're public. We're doing this primarily the case incidence has gone down, which is really good. Information is flowing really well amongst organizations and everybody involved. And of course, vaccine and testing has become readily available, which was a big part of our focus. They're going to continue to meet and be present when needed, but we're just kind of backing down the number of meetings. If we need to meet before then, if anybody has something we need to take up, we certainly can and will. The Webster County Health Unit held vaccine clinics on April 9th, 10th, and 12th. Of course, phase 2 opened on March 29th, and then phase 3 for all Missouri residents opened on April 9th. Many of you have probably already heard that due to some complications with side effects, the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services has paused the administration of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine So that's not available in Missouri until they do some further research. Local hospitals, as of yesterday, Cox had 17 COVID patients admitted. Mercy's not been reporting lately their data on how many total they have admitted, but they are able to tell us how many they have from our county. So between Cox and Mercy, we do have 6 total Webster County patients between the 2 hospitals. Vaccination statistics in Missouri, 1,979,131 people have received the first dose. 1,312,376 have received the second, for a total of 3,182,216 total administrations, hitting at 32.2% of the state. Webster County, first dose, 9,688. Those who received the second dose of 7,059, for a total of 16,366 Webster County residents, which is at 24.5% of our overall population has been vaccinated, which is good. We'd sort of like to see that number get bigger. Current situation, CDC is reporting that we have had 31,076,891 cases in the U.S., with a total of 559,741 deaths so far. Missouri is reporting 494,697 total cases, 8,625 total deaths. World Health is reporting 136,996,364 cases worldwide, with 2,951,832 deaths. According to the health unit, we have had 2,977 cases in Webster County. We currently have 15 patients actively ill. 6 of those are in the central region of Webster County. 101 patients have been hospitalized, and we've had 55 deaths to date in Webster County. As far as looking at some statistics, Missouri, new cases in the past 7 days of 2,443. It's up just slightly, but still down to what we have seen. New deaths in the past 7 days is 8. So we looked at this on our last week, and it was actually 0 for a short time, which is something we hadn't seen in a while. New PCR tests in the past 7 days, 57,066. State positivity rates at 4.7. Right now in Missouri, we've got 771 patients in hospitals, 125 in ICU, and 87 on ventilators throughout the state. Changes in statistics, cases have increased by 35, active cases decreased by 1, and deaths have increased by 0. Looking at the schools, Rogersville has 2 positive cases, and Marshfield has 11 quarantined. And I think on there that's showing Rogersville 3 and Stratford 3. I want to verify those statistics. I'm not sure if that was maybe possibly a mistake in my report. Assumptions and known information. Marshfield, Niagara, Fordland, and Rogersville count for the 15 active cases. We're still holding at number 30 in the state for the total number of cases. And Webster County's positivity rate is currently 5.5, which is up from my last report of around 3%. So that is that's the report for tonight. I was curious, Mayor, as far as reporting going forward. Again, the task force is going to meet monthly rather than bi-weekly. I can certainly provide reporting to you at each of the meetings, but the task force report will only come out once a month going forward. So I didn't know how you wanted me to address that.
So I think I am just fine with going to a once a month report. Alderman, do you have any concerns with changing that? And of course, our frequency could change with their frequency of meetings. If they see a need to meet more, then we would definitely have a need for additional information. Is that reasonable? Yes. Okay. Michael, I think we'll get to hear from you once a month then.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
All right. And with that, we will enter new business. Our first item is to certify the election results. Karen?
Report from Stan at the Webster County Clerk. We have the East Ward Alderman, J.C. Cunningham at 313 votes. And for the East Ward Alderman, and for West Ward Alderman, we have Robert Boggs at 231 votes.
And do we need a roll call vote to accept those?
I don't believe it has to be roll call.
Okay. So I'll take a motion to accept the results.
Move to approve.
And a second.
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 All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And next up is the resignation of East Ward Alderman Rob Foster. Mr. Foster has presented us with a letter of resignation, and I hereby accept his letter of resignation. And I do not believe that one has to have a formal vote. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. And that will bring us to resolutions for outgoing aldermen. Let's see how long I can talk tonight. Okay. And the first resolution I would like to present is for Alderwoman Montgomery. And we are providing each one with a framed copy as well. So I will hand this to you. Resolution 2021-01. A resolution honoring Vicki Montgomery for 10 years of service to the City of Marshfield as a West Ward Alderwoman. Whereas Vicki Montgomery was elected to the Marshfield Board of Alderman on April 28, 2011 as West Ward Alderwoman. Whereas Alderwoman Montgomery served as West Ward Alderwoman for 10 years. Alderwoman Montgomery also served as Capacity Fee Committee member for 2 years from April 28, 2011 to May 23, 2013. I-44 Study Committee member for 5 years from April 28, 2011 to May 12, 2016. Budget Commissioner for 4 years from April 28, 2011 to April 28, 2014. Street Commissioner for 4 years from April 28, 2011 to April 24, 2014. Sewer Commissioner for 10 years from April 28, 2011 to April 15, 2021. Tree City Advisory Committee member for 2 years from February 11, 2016 to April 12, 2018. And Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee member for 6 years from April 21st, 2014 to June 11th, 2020. And whereas during Alderwoman Montgomery's time on the board, the City of Marshfield grew and improved in many ways, including a new aquatic center, major intersection improvements to Hubble Drive, Banning, and Buffalo, a new interchange off of Interstate 44, a new CC highway corridor, increasing development opportunities, improvements to the City of Marshfield drinking water system, improvements to the City of Marshfield wastewater system, improvements and enhancements to the downtown square, including sidewalk replacement, pedestrian safety enhancements, drainage improvements, and paving of the driving surfaces and parking areas. And whereas, as a leader in the Marshfield area, Alderwoman Montgomery advocated for initiatives that advance the City of Marshfield's future growth by supporting Grow Marshfield, by supporting and approving a community growth plan, by supporting and approving a parks master plan, and whereas relying on her professional background, Alderwoman Montgomery provided critical advice and input on the City of Marshfield policies, regulatory matters, operations, and legal affairs. Therefore, be it resolved that the City of Marshfield acknowledge and thank Alderwoman Vicki Montgomery's dedication and tireless effort and work on behalf of the City of Marshfield as a member of the Marshfield Board of Aldermen. Thank you. You want to say something?
I want to thank you for, I wasn't going to do this, dang it. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to serve you the last 10 years. We, as the Board of Aldermen, the city leaders, city staff, and community have accomplished so much in these 10 years, and I'm extremely proud to have been a part of it all. In my very first meeting, I wondered why we didn't start out with prayer and the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance. I did some research to discover it's not a violation of any kind to start a meeting in this manner. They even open in prayer and pledge in Kansas City. I presented the idea to the board, and with much discussion, it was decided to have a silent moment followed by the pledge. The decision for a moment of silence versus a prayer was to avoid the perception of forcing a specific religion or way of thinking on others. We are a diverse community, and my ultimate goal was to honor and respect each person in our community. That's why I was elected. One of the most difficult decisions I personally had to make concerning our community was the closing of our city pool. This pool held many memories for me, some good, some not so good, like the time I had to be rescued out of the deep end of the pool by the cute older lifeguard. But as soon as it was closed, we started the efforts to build a new one. This was also a very important priority for me. Our citizens, our children needed a pool. With literal blood, sweat, and lots of tears, we got a new, awesome aquatics facility. A facility I will never use. As I hinted, I do not swim. I worked very hard to provide our community with a place I cannot even use. That's how much I love our community. It was never about me, but all about our community. That is why I was elected. Things weren't always rosy. It's true that you can't make every person happy. There are times that decisions are made that aren't popular or not what a specific person or group wants. But any decisions made by me were made with the citizens' best interest at heart. That is why I was elected. And Marshfield has the best staff of any community. Every single employee is awesome and greatly appreciated by me and the board. It's obvious that you love Marshfield and you are proud to be here. And I hope I have been able to tell each employee personally how much I appreciate them and respect them. If not, please know I will continue to support you and appreciate you. You are the best. That's why I was elected. There have been so many accomplishments made in the last 10 years. The mayor read some of those. And some things that I'm proud of. The new water tower and water improvements. It's the main reason I ran for alderman. We needed better water, and I'm so glad that this is finally on a schedule to complete. The new interchange. What an opportunity for our community to grow, and it's just the beginning. The new aquatics facility and the beginning of the community activity center. Increased police department. We have the best police department around, but I'm not biased. Renewed rapport between the city and the county. This helps in so many ways. Working together is always the best way to operate. Combining county and city fire departments to make way for a fully staffed fire department versus volunteer. This is so awesome for our community. Quicker response time is crucial. This is why I was elected. I know the city is in fantastic hands with the remaining board members and the new incoming board members. We have a wonderful group that will continue to keep our citizens and the success of our city as their main priority. This is why you were elected. And I have a side note to our incoming board members. You were elected to represent all citizens. Remember this, not just the loudest voices, not just the group that you agree with. There are times when you must vote against your personal opinion because that's what's best for the community. There are times you have to vote against the loudest voices because it's what's best for the community. Listen to the educated voices, listen to the small voices, the ones who don't want to cause a ruckus. Their voices deserve to be heard too. open your minds to the opinions of others. This is why you were elected. With much gratitude, former West Ward Alderman Vicki Montgomery.
Thank you, Vicki.
Sorry,
All right.
I wasn't gonna cry. Do I need to leave this here for?
Yes,
Okay.
Resolution 2021-02. A resolution honoring Mark Bowers for 2 years of service to the City of Marshfield as an East Ward Alderman. Whereas Mark Bowers was elected to the Marshfield Board of Alderman on April 11th, 2019 as East Ward Alderman. Whereas Alderman Bowers served as East Ward Alderman for 2 years. Alderman Bowers served as Tree City Advisory Committee for 18 months from October 10th, 2019 to April 15th, 2021. Sewer Commissioner for 2 years from April 11th, 2019 to April 15th, 2021, and Water Commissioner for 2 years from April 11th, 2019 to April 15th, 2021. Whereas during Alderman Bowers' time on the board, the City of Marshfield grew and improved in many ways, including a new aquatic center, major intersection improvements to Hubble Drive, Banning, and Buffalo, a new interchange off Interstate 44, a new CC highway corridor increasing development opportunities, improvements to the City of Marshfield drinking water system, improvements to the City of Marshfield wastewater system, improvements and enhancements to the downtown square, including sidewalk replacement, pedestrian safety, enhancements, drainage improvements, and paving of the driving and parking services. Whereas as a leader in the Marshfield area, Alderman Bowers advocated for initiatives that advance the city's future growth by supporting Grow Marshfield, by supporting and approving a community growth plan, by supporting and approving a parks master plan. And whereas, relying on his professional background, Alderman Bowers provided critical advice and input on the City of Marshfield policies, regulatory matters, operations, and legal affairs. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Marshfield acknowledge and thank Alderman Bowers for his dedication and tireless effort and work on behalf of the City of Marshfield as a member of the Marshfield Board of Aldermen. Mark, would you like to say anything?
Well, that sounds almost misleading.
I don't think so at all, sir.
No, I appreciate it. It's been a privilege.
Well, thank you for your service. We will have a framed copy of your resolution here at City Hall, if you're able to pick that up. If you're not, let us know and we'll make arrangements to drop it by the house.
Okay, yeah, I can come by.
Okay. And last but certainly not least, Resolution 2021-03. A resolution honoring Rob Foster for 7 years of service to the City of Marshfield as an East Ward Alderman. Whereas Rob Foster was elected to the Marshfield Board of Aldermen on April 10th, 2014 as East Ward Alderman. Whereas Alderman Foster served as an East Ward Alderman for 7 years. Alderman Foster also served as a cemetery board member for 7 years from June 26, 2014 to April 15th, 2021. Planning and Zoning Commission member for 7 years from April 24th, 2014 to April 15th, 2021. Street Commissioner for 7 years from April 24th, 2014 to April 15th, 2021. And Mayor Pro Tem for 1 year from April 12th, 2018 to April 11th, 2019. Whereas during Alderman Foster's time on the board, the City of Marshfield grew and improved in many ways, including a new aquatic center, major infrastructure improvements, major intersection improvements to Hubble Drive, Banning, and Buffalo, and new interchange off Interstate 44. A new CC highway corridor increasing development opportunities, improvements to the City of Marshfield drinking water system, improvements to the City of Marshfield wastewater system, improvements and enhancements to the downtown square, including sidewalk replacement, pedestrian safety enhancements, drainage improvements, and paving of the driving and parking surfaces. Whereas, as a leader in the Marshfield area, Alderman Foster advocated for initiatives that advance the city's future growth by supporting Grow Marshfield and helping to establish Grow Marshfield, by supporting and approving a community growth plan, and by supporting and approving a parks master plan. Whereas, relying on his professional background, Alderman Foster provided critical advice and input on the City of Marshfield policies, regulatory matters, operations, and legal affairs. Therefore, now be it resolved that the City of Marshfield acknowledge and thank Alderman Rob Foster's dedication and tireless effort and work on behalf of the City of Marshfield as a member of the Marshfield Board of Aldermen. Rob, would you like to say anything?
Thank you, Mayor. So it does sound like a lot when you read it off, and it is, and that's what I want to express a heartfelt thanks to the remarkable staff of the city. Their efforts and care were critical to the astounding progress and the projects we were able to bring to fruition to the city over the last several years. Thanks also to the many elected officials I had the privilege to serve with while I was on the Board of Alderman and the various commissions. The tangible results of our combined time and efforts and thought and forward vision, and most importantly, action, are benefits for our citizens today as well as for the enjoyment of future citizens. Together with so many like-motivated groups, volunteer citizens, elected officials, we were able to move the needle to a higher quality of life in Marshfield. And to the new board, I wish you the same level of success and collaborative spirit in moving the quality of life needle ever higher for Marshfield.
Thank you, sir. And with that, we'll begin swearing in our new elected officials. J.C. Cunningham. I am a photographer. I wear many hats. This one's from the county and this one will be from us. So. Please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
J.C. Cunningham.
Do solemnly swear
Solemnly swear.
and affirm that I possess
That I possess
the qualifications prescribed by the law
qualifications prescribed by the law
for the office of East Ward
for
Alderman,
the office of East Ward Alderman.
and that I support the Constitution of the United States
That I support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Missouri,
and the state of Missouri,
the provisions of the state statutes
provisions of state statutes,
affecting cities of the fourth class,
affecting cities of the fourth class,
and the ordinances of the city of
and the
Marshfield.
ordinances of the city of Marshfield.
I shall faithfully conduct myself while in office.
I shall faithfully conduct myself while in office.
I just need you to sign right here. And I need you to sign right here. So this one, like I said, it's from the county.
Okay.
And then this one is from ours.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate it.
You may take your seat. Thank you. Alderman Robbie Boggs. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Robbie Bowles,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
and affirm
and affirm
that I possess the qualifications
that I possess the qualifications
prescribed by the law
prescribed by the law
for the office of West Ward Alderman,
for the office of West Ward Alderman,
and that I support
and that I support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Missouri,
and the state of Missouri,
the provisions
of state statutes
the provisions of state statutes
affecting the cities of the fourth class
affecting the cities of the fourth class
and the ordinances of the city of Marshfield.
and the ordinances of the city of Marshfield.
I shall faithfully conduct myself while in office.
I shall faithfully conduct myself while in office.
Just need you to sign right there. And I need you to sign this one right there. This one here is from Stan's office. And then this one. Very well.
All right, please join us at the table. Okay, and at the time of Alderman Foster's verbal resignation, we concluded that we had two individuals who had already invested of their time and talents in order to serve in this manner. And I have learned it takes a lot to put yourself out there and run for a public office. So it is with that I am asking our current Board of Aldermen to affirm my appointment of John Quinn as East Ward Alderman.
Move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And with that, we'll have the oath of office from Mr. John Quinn.
I state your name.
I, John Quinn,
Do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I possess the qualifications
that I possess the qualifications
prescribed by law
prescribed by law
for the office of East Ward Alderman,
for the office of East Ward Alderman,
and that I support the Constitution of the United States
and that I support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Missouri,
and the state of Missouri,
the provisions of state statutes
the provisions of state statutes,
affecting cities of the fourth class and the ordinances of the city of Marshfield.
and the ordinances of the city of Marshfield.
I shall conduct myself while in office.
I shall conduct myself while in office.
All right. Thank you, Alderman. You can join us at the table. All right, the next item on the agenda is the appointment of a mayor pro tem for a one-year term. And I am recommending Stacy Lee. Stacy Lee has served in the role of mayor pro tem. And in my absence, she has the most experience at this point to be able to continue the meetings. Also, she's readily available to help me sign checks, which I greatly appreciate. So with that, I offer appointment of Stacy Lee as mayor pro tem.
I second.
You need a motion first.
A motion that you.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. And with that, we will go to mayoral appointments, and there are several, so we'll take these one at a time. For each one of these, I'll be looking for someone who I do not appoint to motion, and somebody that I do not appoint to second, and then we'll vote. So for water and sewer commissioners, I would like to appoint Robbie Boggs and Alderman Lee.
So make a motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
As transportation commissioners, I would like to appoint Alderman Quinn and Alderman Cunningham.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
For Planning and Zoning Commission, as the Board of Alderman representative, I would like to appoint Robbie Boggs. I would also like to appoint Megan Keeler and Tim Dudley.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
For the Cemetery Board, as a Board of Alderman representative, I would like to appoint J.C. Cunningham. I would also like to reappoint Kevin Cantrell and Doug Davis.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
For Parks and Recreation Board, I would like to reappoint Amanda Reed for a 3-year term. I would also like to appoint Susan Maxwell for a 3-year term and John Means for a 1-year term.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. For Tree City Advisory Committee, we need a Board of Alderman representative, and I appoint Alderman John Quinn for that post.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
On the Finance Advisory Committee, I would like to appoint Angel Miskimen and Kim Clift, both for 3-year terms.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Lastly, I would like to appoint John Dotson for another 2 years as our Ethics Officer.
Motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you all very much. We'll have another batch next meeting. With that, we'll move on to the agenda. Cherry Blossom Festival blocking off roads on the square. Dale, do you want to talk about that?
Yes, I can.
You have the floor, sir,
Anywhere in particular?
wherever you would like.
We'll have food vendors on the corners, probably like 4th of July harvest days. I would like to block off the inside of Mountain Street and the inside of Jefferson. I don't know that I need both of them, but with the square like it is, I'm not sure how I'm gonna put things.
Okay.
That's my ask.
Okay, so our agenda. So we're just going to go ahead and block off both sides. Is that the safest bet?
They take care of it, and yeah,
Yeah.
they'll block it off.
Okay, yeah, we
Pretty
appreciate
standard.
that.
Yep,
All right.
standard.
So I'll be looking for a motion to approve unless there are any questions.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, sir. All right, discussion of well and septic at 1281 North Buffalo. Sam?
So I'll kick this off, and while I'm doing so, Simpson is on here, and so let me kind of get her up and going. So this property, you guys are probably familiar with it. I provided you a map of where it's at. This is the old North Buffalo that runs out to 44. And so the property owners have this for sale. There is an existing house on it. It is currently on a private well and septic. And so the question has come up many, many times about what would be allowed on this property, about what we would allow, what avenues people would have to go down if they bought this property to change it into commercial, to build back in residential, to split it up. The first map the map there on your cover sheet, and I think there's some more further back, but that lines out our utilities. So the green with the circles on it, that's going to be our sewer lines and our manholes. And then the blue is going to be our water mains. And so as you can see, there's clearly not city utilities anywhere relatively close to this. In our code, section 700.070 basically states that it defines availability of being within 100 feet or 300 feet, depending if it's water or sewer. But then it also goes on to say that the Board of Alderman shall determine availability. And so that's why it's coming to you tonight at this point. The potential buyers are asking, and I'll let her talk to it here in just a minute, but they're asking if they bought this property, if they would be allowed to go back in there and tear the house down and to put a new well and septic in there if needed. The way the property currently sits now, if they were just going to remodel, if they were going to remodel within the walls of that house or within the foundation of that house, we wouldn't even be talking about this at a board level. It would just stay within staff. And because it is an existing house and a remodel, but since they are talking about demoing and since they're going all new construction, it does have to meet our new building codes. And so that's why it's coming before you tonight. I will say this from the city staff standpoint. Obviously, everything, the more property and plots that we have available to water and sewer and that we could put on to water and sewer, that's going to be the best for the city. But in this instance here, there is already a house out there with this purpose. And so if the board chooses to consider letting them do this, city staff is okay with that as well. But again, the only reason that it is being brought to you guys, the only reason that the staff would support it is because there is already an existing structure there, and that it already exists the way that we're talking about. They're just wanting to go back with new. If we were talking about one of these other vacant lots that doesn't have any kind of development on it, city staff would not support that because obviously it would be in the best interest of the city to have utilities ran out there. And I've talked with Ms. Simpson about this as well, and so there would be no surprises to her. You know, it would also be a recommendation from the staff that if you all were to consider this and to approve it, we would strongly urge you to make notes in the minutes that they could not subdivide this property, that if they went to subdivide it, that would be the trigger for them to extend the utilities out there, because then they would be doing a subdivision. This is a plot. It is a final plat. And so it has been platted out that way. And so if they were to try to bust that up or want to bust that up and sell some of it off, in our opinion, that would be the trigger for them to extend utilities if you guys don't require them to do it up front. So with that.
So this is labeled as discussion. So is there any information that board members feel they would need in order to make a decision likely at the next meeting?
For them to even get sewer to that property, they would have to go across somebody else's property. Is there even easements to make that very possible?
There's not. That would be something those would be private easements that way, because they would be putting in private sewer, right? Unless they were trying to put in public. But if they were putting in public, they would have to meet all of our specifications, and it would be a chore to do. I will throw out there that I think maybe the last map that you have on this, that is from our community growth plan, and so that is currently zoned R1. And it calls for that to remain R1 in 1 or 2 family zoning is what you see there in that top. And so single or multifamily there. So it's not out of the ordinary, or it's not out of line with what our community growth plan lines out. So.
Okay.
But with
other?
I think so. I didn't want to spring this on you guys. They've got a possible closing coming up on, I think, the 3rd of next month. And so I didn't want to put this in front of you guys at the next meeting to turn around and feel pressured to make a decision one way or the other. And so I wanted to get this out there. Like I said, it's just for discussion tonight. It will be back on there for you guys' action next week or 2 weeks from now. But I did tell Marcy that I would get it on here for discussion, and that if you guys had any questions for her, that she'd be welcome to speak.
Marcy, was there anything you wanted to add?
No, not specifically, just that,
Hang on just a second. Hey, Marcy, hang on. I've got you. I think I've lost you. Hang on.
I jinxed it.
Yeah. Okay, can you hear me now, Marcy?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Perfect.
We
Yep,
can
now go
hear
for it.
you.
Yep.
Okay, so just that, the house that is there, just due to, me not being the owner, we aren't able to see if that house is able to be remodeled. I did ask permission this week to see if we could get a construction person out there to see, because of course it is old, and very, it looks from the outside like it couldn't be remodeled, but we weren't able to get permission for that just due to, legal things. And so our question, just pretty much what Sam had said, was that we just would like to either remodel or build, but we just need to have permission to use the septic if it is the case where the house isn't able to be remodeled. So that's all I have.
Typically the owner would come and make this request, but this is tied up in a trust, and so it's not that simple. And so obviously, Marcy's not wanting to invest the money if you guys wouldn't support it. And so I told her just to come and test the waters and see what your guys' thoughts were and get any questions out of the way that you guys might have.
Okay. Any other questions?
I don't.
All right. Thank you, Marcy.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And the next items, we'll kind of take these in tandem. So there is an ordinance that sets the time and place of all Board of Alderman meetings. By ordinance, that is set at 6:30 PM. We have moved meetings to 7:30 for almost the last year because that worked better for our aldermen at the time. So I am bringing the issue up to this board because I can't be here any earlier than that, but I can make 6:30 work. Also, 6:30 is sometimes easier for our staff. If our meetings run long, our staff are here nice and late and they turn around and show back up at 7 o'clock in the morning. But that being said, the important part is that we have a quorum in order to conduct business. So discussion on times. What are your preferences?
I'm good with either one.
Okay,
Either one's fine.
I'm too.
okay,
Given a choice, I would rather have 6:30.
okay,
I'm good either way, but 6:30 would be better for me.
okay. Are you okay with 6:30?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. So with that as the case, we do not need to change any ordinance. So what we will do is we'll take our next meeting and move it back to 6:30 PM. And then we do not need to do any further business on that matter. The second item is a resolution in your packet, which resolves that all committees, all commissions, boards, you heard a good half of them tonight, also have to meet at 6:30 PM. Now, I have been on several, I started out with committees and boards. That's how I kind of got in with the city. And there were times when, and if we could have been here earlier, it would have been great. I have rarely seen public participation at any of these, but it is important that we allow the public participation in these. So what I am asking is, do you see a reason to continue requiring these other groups to meet at this time? Or could we allow them the flexibility to meet when it was best for the group, the decision-making group?
I think it's up to them. Wouldn't it be?
Allow it to be
I
flexible?
think so, yeah.
Okay,
I'm great with that.
I'm fine with that.
Me too.
okay. Then we will bring this matter up on the next agenda. And could we just do another resolution to allow them to meet as necessary for a quorum?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is our collector to make delinquent report on delinquent taxes. Karen, are you going to present that?
Yes.
Okay.
I can. Kevin Farr, the county collector, sends over a report of all of the delinquents. And so what I do is I just kind of give you a total, since it's kind of out of our report. But under the state statute, we're required to give a amount and tell you what we are on delinquents. The real estate, we usually can get because of, you know, if a property sells, we get that, not necessarily on a personal property. But instead of wasting paper, sending out all of you a tree, you know, I do have copies if you would like to see, you know, each individual name. But I just kind of, he sends those to us and I totally, you know, they're total. And so I just provided you with what the yearly totals were for the years. So
Okay.
that he provided.
And these are just for acknowledgement, correct?
Yes, I think that you have to approve for the
Okay.
statute.
So we will take a motion for delinquent property and real estate taxes.
Move to approve.
All in favor?
Hey,
It was a tie.
it doesn't matter.
Take a peek.
Okay.
Flip a coin. There is another report in the board packet. That information is going to be coming back to you in another form at the next meeting. So we're going to skip ahead on that to the possible use of the old recycling center. And we have Mr. Robert Williams with us.
What's it say up there in the box?
Hello, Robert.
Okay.
We
Hi.
have more than Mr. Williams with us. Hello.
Hi there. Make sure I can be heard.
Yes, you
sure
can. Yep.
All
Are you
right.
ready? Are you ready for, you want to start off with your PowerPoint up, Robert?
Yes.
Okay.
First, once in putting that up, let's just say this is our team of core leaders for a 501c3, a local chapter of a 501c3 titled Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And I'll just introduce to my left, may look like you're right, but is Carl Gore, and then Tom Donovan, and then over here is Alan Balmer and Terry Arndt. We've all been friends about 25 years, a little bit over 25 years actually, and we've all been involved in the community. And we are starting or establishing a local chapter of Sleep in Heavenly Peace. What we're here for this evening is to make a request of the Board of Alderman, actually the new Board of Alderman, and we want to congratulate all of you on your elections and appointments. We're all in strong support of our city council, and just want to let you know also that as you move forward, we will be praying for you and praying for the continued success of our city. What we're here for tonight is, as I've been connected with the city for quite some time, there is a old building. It's an old recycle center, a recycle building that the city owns. It's a little compound that sits at the end of Prairie Lane. And we're requesting, while that's been used to have some minor storage of some surplus items, it really has had very little other use other than out around it. I think they serve or store some recycle bins and some of the hot patch for the asphalt and those types of things. What we're requesting the board to consider is to leasing to our chapter of Sleep in Heavenly Peace, that old city recycle building for, we're requesting a period of 1 year. So it's a temporary arrangement and we're requesting for $1 a month. There is precedent for this. The city has used to lease the old library to the Historical Society in the same way before they actually deeded the building over to them. And what it is any entity that has a community service that they offer that benefits the entire community, then they can do that. And so I want to explain the reason why we need it, and I think that you'll understand as I do. First, let me start by saying that after being in contact with multiple.
Robert, just a moment. We've lost sound.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Two other people came in.
May I say, I'm glad to see you guys here tonight.
Two other
Can you
people
speak?
entered the
We
room.
speak?
That's fine.
Huh?
I mean, can I speak?
Yeah.
Is this the old, where they did little Webco
Yes.
industry?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And nothing's
Try it
in
now,
there for
Robert.
storage, right? That's what we're doing. Okay.
All right, am I okay?
Yeah.
You
you're
were
good now.
there again. I'm sorry.
No problem, no problem at all. The, so now I have to start all. I hear silence on that one. Okay. Well, listen,
Hang on just
just-
a second, Robert.
sure.
If it doesn't one more time, I'll just have to bypass the switch and you guys will just have to go off the screen.
That's fine.
It's doing, I don't know why it's doing, but it's doing it every time. We had two other people enter the room just a second ago, and so we're not allowing them in, it triggers something. in here. So I don't know what it is. Try it one more time, Robert. If it does it again, then I'll do something
No
different.
problem at all. I just want to make sure you can hear me now.
Yep, I've got you.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. So, being in contact with several school counselors, even had David Stewart in one of our meetings recently. We've just hit the ground running with this and had great community response from it. And we talked about the effects of rest on children's school performance, and they all agree that rest is a major factor in a child's school performance, their self-esteem, social connections and friendships, as well as their overall happiness. And what it comes down to is that, good rest helps children get a good start on life because it helps them in school, helps them to perform better, and good rest requires good sleep. The national 501c3 that we're a part of is called Sleep in Heavenly Peace. There are over 250 chapters nationwide of Sleep in Heavenly Peace, and you may have caught it. It was actually featured in 2017 on an online episode of Returning the Favor, which was hosted by Mike Rowe, star of Dirty Jobs. And I am probably going faster than what the presentation, so I'll let Sam go ahead and catch up there. Dirty Jobs, and then go ahead to the next one, Sam, if you would. So over 250 chapters of Sleep in Heavenly Peace, they've collected data, and consistently what it shows is that 2 to 3% of any given population are children ages 3 to 17 that actually do not have their own bed. And if you, in fact, if you look at that number in terms of the poverty rate in Missouri and Webster County and among kids in Missouri, which is about 19%, those numbers actually all work together. It's very consistent to show that it's about 2 to 3%. The mission of Sleep in Heavenly Peace is that no kid sleeps on the floor in our town. And so when we look at Webster County, once we learned those numbers, we all actually went down to San Antonio to train on this effort. And we began to do the numbers in our own area because, we weren't completely sure, how much of a problem this would be in our area. And so what we figured out was if we have a population of 40,000 in Webster County, which we do, then there's actually around 1,200 children in our county, statistically speaking, that do not have their own bed. And in Marshfield School District, which is a population of over 17,000, that's actually around 500 children that do not have their own bed. And when I say don't have their own bed, it's maybe there's a lot of them that they're sleeping on the floor, There's a lot of times they're sleeping multiple children to the same bed. There's, there's times when they're sleeping in clothes. They've seen everything that you can imagine as far as where children are sleeping. I actually, whenever I was in high school, my last 2 years, and this is what really connects me with this outreach, my last 2 years, I actually did not have my own bed. We lived in a very small house and very humble. And I actually slept on a cot during part of that in our closet. And then in my senior year of course, today they have futons that are really cool, but back then it was just an old, I don't know, 1950s or 60s, and it had a spring popping up out of it. So it wasn't the best sleep. And the point is that, a person says, well, you did okay with that, but the reality is that I quit school back in my senior year. And if it wasn't for a really good teacher or some good friends talked me back into going back in, I actually would have dropped out. It was the military who consequently put me in my own bed that, allowed me to really get a better start on life. And so I'm just saying that to say that I do have a personal connection, and I just never realized that the issue was as extensive as what it is. I never realized that there's a lot of other kids in that same situation until we began to research this issue. So our objective here as a local chapter is to coordinate the volunteers, material, and financial resources of the community who can, right, to build beds for the community who cannot, the kids. It's that simple. And the thing is, we don't care why they don't have their own bed. Our objective is to put kids in beds, and we're asking the community to work with us to do that. Adult problems and decisions are not the kids' fault. So just keep in mind that our objective is to put kids in beds, and we will do that one bed build at a time. And in just a moment, you're going to see a video that's going to show you what a bed build is and how the community is involved and how it gets sponsors and how exciting of a project it is to be able to get the community organized to help others in the community. And we're doing it to to build beds right now, but that even leads into other efforts down the road. So the old recycle building has been there, and it's not been used for anything significant for a very, very long time. It was a discussion from time to time whenever I was mayor, and there's just never been any real function for it. And so the question that we're asking tonight is for you to consider, what can that recycle building do for our community through a effort like this? And with that, I'm going to let you watch a video of a sister chapter in McCall, Idaho, and it's just about 2.5 minutes. And you'll see what it is that we actually do.
To sleep 2 children each. So today's build has been made possible by a donation from Matthew's family. My uncle built Alphavino and auctioned it off at our family auction. Fortunate to have money, we'll go to SHB and help us build these beds, and I'm pretty sure there's enough to help us with future beds too.
website and also spaces where they have a place to sleep for their very own. It's awesome. It's fantastic.
So I'm not sure exactly how you're seeing that there, if you're seeing it cutting up or whatever, but I think either way, you get the gist of what's going on there. And it's showing a bit.
I've lost you again. It's annoying. I apologize.
Yeah.
The building was perfect.
Baseball game update, sorry.
Oh.
You won this first one.
Try again.
Are we good?
I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. I was saying that I'm hoping, I'm not sure how you've seen the video, but whether it was cut up or not, I'm sure that you got the gist of what was going on there. I mean, in that particular video, you had a family who has a reunion every year, and they put their resources together and auctioned off an old El Camino to sponsor a bed build. And you've seen the type of facility that they need and the space that they need and the tools and the organization. It's a very organized event. It's a great way to bring in the community in order to do, just a benevolent work to help others in our community. And so this next image here that you're looking at is the actual property. It's an aerial view of Prairie Lane, the end of Prairie Lane with the old recycle building. And just to kind of lay out how that looks to you, if you look at it, you'll see the building. I've put storage on top because there's adequate room in there for us to store the materials that will be necessary and tools, those types of items. There's even some building room in there, but you'll also see that there's room out around it. Now, if you were actually looking at it, you would see that a lot of that space out around it is sloped, and it would be hard to have any kind of an area there where you could do just a lot of building. You need kind of more of a flat surface. There is flat surface in there and we could use it. But really, if you look out on the road there where it dead ends, you'll see it dead ends, and there's a lot of space there in front that is actually past the Webco Industries driveway there. And that area could easily be utilized. It's a great area to have a community bed build right there on the road in that space. Also, though, we're going to have a trailer that we're going to need to park in there. But if you look around, you'll see where the city has around the edges, they have certain things that are being stored in there. Our use won't keep the city from being able to store the items that they need to be able to store in there. And I believe Sam eventually will talk to you about, I don't know that you're going to be able to do it tonight, but that what's in that building is actually old surplus or going to be surplus, I think, items. And I'm sure you guys will have a conversation, and Sam can talk to you about, how much the city needs to have that space or not. So in the end, guys, it's we just wanted to present the opportunity to you. We'd love to have a partnership with the city to make sure that no kid sleeps on the floor in our town. We need a facility. We need the property to be able to get started. And we're just asking you to consider allowing us to use that property for a period of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Any questions?
Well, the beds that were built, I mean, these are going to have mattresses, right?
Yes, they'll be fully equipped. They'll be twin beds with mattresses and bedding even.
Awesome.
Build everything, yes. We build them in bunks. So, and so that the bunk can either be broken up, or it can, because a lot of times when you're building them, a lot of times you're actually building them for 2 or more children in the home. So.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, we'll move on to the surplus list. And Sam?
Yeah, I'm gonna, so kind of twofold here. I'm gonna ask you guys to table this until the next meeting. We didn't get that finalized to get you a list in front of you, so we'll get that done. But as Robert was stating, that is where we have some overflow, and that's where we do store some stuff that we're not utilizing at the moment. So that's pretty much what's in that building right now.
Okay, I'll add that to the list. So that brings us into future agenda items. The 3 items that I have carrying over from this meeting are a continuation of the breed-specific legislation, a resolution allowing commissions, boards, and committees to meet when necessary, and continued review or approval of the surplus list. Are there any other future agenda items that need to be added at this time? Okay. And if not, our next item will go into closed session. So on this one, I'm going to read this and you'll do a motion and somebody will second, and then we have a roll call vote. So you'll want to wait until she says your name to vote. Okay. We are going into closed session pursuant to section 610(21), subsections 1, 2, and 3 for legal actions, real estate, and hiring, firing, disciplinating, and promoting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Quinn,
Aye.
Boggs.
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Cunningham.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we will close our Zoom meeting. And I am asking Karen and Linda, Paul and Sam to stay in the room.